Hey friends, welcome to Creative X. My name is Brad Hussey. I'm a web designer. Today on the show, I'm so excited to introduce to you Marshall Fox. He is a graphic designer, CEO of 120 Design Studio, and a graphic design business coach. I gotta say it right now, I interviewed him, but basically I got a free design and business masterclass out of it. So I'm gonna pass that on to you because this was amazing. I'm not gonna waste any more time and we're just gonna jump straight in to that interview. Let's go. Hey Marshall, how's it going? Thanks for coming onto the show.
Hey Brad, I'm doing phenomenal. Look, I appreciate you having me here and I'm excited to share with your audience today.
That's awesome, man. I really appreciate it. I know it was hard for us to kind of nail down a time. I feel like we're both pretty busy right now. So to try and get our schedules lined up, it's like, it almost feels like a bit of a miracle that we're able to carve out a little window.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. The planets aligned and we're here.
So tell me a little bit right now for everybody listening, everybody watching, give us a little 101 on Marshall, I'll let you kind of take it from there. Like, give us a little background, little story, just go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So as of right now, I'm a graphic designer, web designer. I primarily use Wix. So I'll just tell you a little bit about how I got to this point. So my whole career started around 2016. I was selling life insurance door to door, primarily to seniors. And I had a couple great months. And then I fell flat on my face financially. So I'm married. I have 4 kids. We had 2 at the time. And my wife was a stay-at-home mom. She's a homemaker. So this is the first time in my adult life that I'm facing like significant financial hardship. I mean, I grew up middle class. We weren't rich by any means, but I never missed a meal. So I never really saw the quote unquote struggle, right? So this is the first time I'm like, wow, they're calling about coming to repo the car. Bills are falling behind. My credit's being torn to shreds. So, I'm sitting at the dining room table with my wife, and she said, you know what, I'll go back to work, to kind of help out. And me, I'm more of a traditional guy, so I'm like, nah, I can't ask you to do that. I'll figure it out. And she was actually the one that suggested I jump into graphic and web design. She said, when we're always going out, you're looking at menus, business card signs, and you're always talking about how it sucks and, it shouldn't be like that. She said, why don't you do something about it? You've done a few promotional items for your graphic, for your life insurance business. You did your business cards, some flyers, you did a small website here and there. She said, why don't you take it serious and really go for it? Man, I gave her every excuse in the book, Brad. I said, I didn't go to school for it. I don't have any experience. And I think I Googled the average salary at the time. It was maybe $45K. I was like, I can't support my family with that. Really just every excuse in the book. But I thought about it. I prayed about it. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go for it. So I actually reached out to somebody on Facebook. I said, hey, man, it looks like your logo could use some work. You mind if I work on a couple concepts for you? He said, man, go for it. You'll be a blessing to me. So I designed a few concepts for him, and he didn't like a couple of them, but he really liked one of them. So he ended up going with that one, and he shared that on Facebook in a specific community that we were both a part of, and he shared it on LinkedIn. And when he did, things just kind of blew up. Like somebody said, hey, all the flame emojis were being dropped on the comments. Somebody reached out and said, hey, I want a logo. Somebody else reached out and said, hey, I want a book cover. And somebody else reached out and said, hey, I want a website. So that enter Wix. I'm like, okay, so I have demand now. People are looking to pay me for my services. This is cool. How can I get in the game quickly so I can feed my family? So I quickly adopted Wix. I started using it, and I haven't looked back. I've been using the platform ever since, exclusively because I hadn't had a need to use anything else. And Brad knows this. Like I haven't even had a chance to sit and learn Editor X. I've just been so busy over the past 5.5 years, by the grace of God. But as I do kind of slow down things on the design side, I am going to start looking more into it because I'm doing a lot more training and content creation now. So graphic designer, I started doing some coaching, and I'm starting to put out some content creation. So that's where I am now. I have a community of graphic designers who I kind of mentor. So I go live every week, do like a feedback Friday thing there. I do some one-on-one coaching, but I'm really just starting in this vein. I'm not like a veteran by any means when it comes to the coaching stuff. So That's how I got to where I am now, man.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you sharing that. It's like there's a few things in there I wanted to kind of pick out or point. Like that's pretty incredible. I was gonna ask you, like, is there any person or a crossroads moment, or is there a person who maybe tipped you in the right direction or mentored you? And it almost sounds like that person was your wife.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I owe all of this to her, man. Like, because I didn't believe it for me. Like, I didn't see it being possible. And I had some conversations with some people early on in my community, in that professional development community I was in. One gentleman in particular, he goes by the gift coach. So he coaches people on, finding out what their gifts are and how to use them. So, am I gifted in design? I don't know. I mean, people seem to think that I am, but I remember having a conversation with him, Brad, and he said, hey, how much would you want to make, with this graphic and web design thing? And I said, man, look, if I can make about $80K a year, that would be phenomenal. That would really be great. And he was eating a sandwich or something at the time. He said, man, you could double that easy. And I thought he was crazy, Brad. I thought he was crazy. But, here I am, by the grace of God, pretty much effectively tripling that per year, as like a one-man band. It's really, that always stuck with me because I didn't believe him. I didn't think it was possible. Like, look, I don't have any experience. 2, I'm using Wix. The misconceptions that people have when it comes to Wix, the quote unquote do-it-yourself builder. I was like, how am I using a do-it-yourself builder and I'm going to make 160? That's crazy. But it's possible. It's possible.
Wow. Maybe the key here is listen to your wife.
Listen to your wife,
gentlemen.
Rule number 1.
Your first client experience, you kind of hinted at it there. You said your first client was, you just posted on Facebook. You're like, you know what? All right, I'm going to do this. You reached out to someone specific and you just said like, hey, like.
Yeah, I reached out and I think I sent a few DMs. But this one in particular bit, I sent a few, and you know how it is, man. You're online, you're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can see, click on people. You can be nosy, pry and see people's businesses. Okay, this person, they say is self-employed. This is their business. Let me go to their Facebook business page. Ooh, this logo isn't great. But instead of just saying this logo isn't great, I have the ability to fix it. I kind of used what I had at the time. I never deviated from Wix, but then, I kind of graduated from designer into Illustrator and the Adobe suite at the time. But I just got started, man, and I kind of figured everything out on the fly. And those initial clients really gave me grace and allowed me to figure things out. I had some people that didn't want to take a chance on me, and it's okay because it kind of motivated me. but the ones who did, I made sure they were 120% satisfied. As I was figuring things out, I didn't know how much to charge. I really didn't know what I was doing, but I just knew I wanted to create a phenomenal product and I wanted them to be happy with me so they can sing my praises and, refer people to me and become a higher paying client at some point.
That's awesome. So then how much, once you maybe got that first paying client, how much would you say, or maybe you remember exactly the number, did you charge for your service?
Yeah. So website wise, man, I think I started out at about $500 for websites. At the time, it was a church website that I did, and there was a website that I did for a speaker. She was a former WNBA player. I ended up, working with her extensively over the past few years. Did a couple book covers for her, so that's been great. But she was my first like speaker client. I think I charged around $500, man, when I first started out.
That's so great. It's the same thing. My first invoice was $495, I think.
Oh, so, wow. Yeah. I always stuck with the flat, I didn't really do any of the charm pricing. I think that kind of helped me stick out too,
Yeah, you're not being like, oh, it's actually $500, but you see the 4 and then it actually feels like $100 less and you're like, that's not the.
I know, but look, what's crazy is I do that now. You know what I'm saying, with the coaching and the core stuff. I'm like, I'm a believer in it now.
How much would you charge now for like kind of your key web design, branding, flagship service? What would you charge now?
So my flagship service right now is $20K. So over the years, like I started out doing a lot of a la carte stuff. So I would do a website. I would do, if you wanted a flyer, I'd do a flyer for you, a business card design. I'd do that for you. So the thing is, Brad, I got my reps in. Like I got 10,000 hours in 3.5 years, just by taking everything in. And I'm sure you may be familiar with Blair Enns, but he has a quote that I always remember. He says, there are two levels of success. The first level you get to by saying yes to almost everything. The second level you get to by saying no to almost everything. So on that first level, man, I was saying yes to everything. You want it, I got it. I'll do it. I'll figure it out. But over time, I started to consolidate my offer, like started to package my services instead of saying, or you can get a flyer or a business card design. It's like, okay, let's go ahead and combine that into like a more all-encompassing branding solution, including the logo design, the style guide, social media templates, cover photos for your business pages and stuff like that. But I did that based off of what people were coming to me for the most and what was most valuable to the type of client that I was serving. So now I just have three offers. You want a logo only, it's $5K. You want full branding is $10K, and you want a website is $20K. But as you go up the tiers, it includes everything below. So if you do get a website, you get the branding and stuff too. It may look like a lot to some people, but to other people, it's like, bro, that's all you charging. But I make it enticing, and I know what my clients come to me for the most. So I know that in most cases, they're going to go for it if they have the budget. And the thing about that is, me including the branding and the website package, it gives me more control over the project and the design language of the entire site as well. So I have more quality and control, because I used to be a designer that would have a site on my portfolio with a crappy logo that they brought to me, the client brought to me. And I always had to have a disclaimer when I would send it to somebody like, hey, this is a website I did, but I didn't do the logo, just because I don't want you to think I did the logo. And designers, when they share their work with me, they say the same thing, like, oh, I didn't do the logo. I'm like, I didn't think you did, but doesn't it suck to have to give that disclaimer? So now,
what was that process? What were some key milestones or things that happened that took you from that $500 website to charging $20,000 for your full package?
Yeah, man. It was a process. Definitely wasn't overnight, but I think a key was me serving a particular type of client. So it's almost like my niche found me, the authors, the speakers, the coaches, specifically like professional development, self-help type authors, speakers. So when more and more of those types of clients started to come to me, they would have like similar requests. So then I would start to package them. Let's say rather than charging $200 per flyer, I would say, hey, you know what? Let's do a package, for like $1,000, and I'll give you like 6 flyers or something like that. So I started to kind of elevate. And as I started to elevate my pricing, and, going from like $200 a la carte to like more like $1,000 minimum, stuff like that, depending on what the project was. As I started to elevate, I started to think a little differently. Like, okay, people are still paying this, so how can I add more value? And then I started to ask myself and my clients, like, what's the most expensive problem that you have that I can solve for you from a design standpoint? Or, try to anticipate their needs, not where they are now, but for where they're going. If they do have a book coming out, okay, do you need a landing page for that book? Are you doing an event that you need signage for? Things like that. So if you guys haven't picked it up, I think a key for me, at least, has been graphic design, packaging it with web design. I think they go hand in hand. I think if I was just doing web design, I maybe wouldn't be as quote unquote successful. And if I was just doing graphic design, I probably wouldn't be. So the fact that I can marry the two and I can do both of them to solve the client's problem. And it makes me that much more attractive as well, because as a service provider, because they know, okay, I don't have to go get my graphics from one place and then bring it to a web designer. I feel like I'm still charging pennies. The $20K is pennies, compared to an agency, compared to other people I know who are charging $30, $40, $50K per project and probably doing less work. So I have comfort in that, knowing, okay, I'm giving you, at least in my mind, agency level work for a fraction of the cost. So I don't overcomplicate it. If I feel like doubling my prices, I'll double my prices or increase my prices, and the clients will still pay. And as I've started to serve higher level clients, and I'm talking, primarily personal brands, let's say they do high 6-7 figures. They're looking for high level service providers to work with. So they need to spend the money. I had a client. She's like, man, I'm looking back at last year as my first 7-figure year. If I would have known, I would have invested more money or spent more money in certain places, because Uncle Sam's taking it. I'm in the US for you guys in Canada. Uncle Sam's taking it.
That cookie cutter nature is actually really good business, because it allows you to get better and better at what you do, to be able to research into how do I better serve this client and this market? How do I make my solutions, my skills, my business acumen in this area better and sharper? And those constraints actually make and enable you to be more creative. I know a lot of creatives and a lot of designers have pushed back on me when I say productizing and systemizing your business. So it's same service, same client, same,
Right.
like, and you do that and you really systemize it. They'll be like, oh, but I like being creative. I like designing and doing lots of different things. And I'm like, okay. But tell me, how is that working out for you in your business?
Right. Oh, it is a quote I love by Darren Hardy. He says, "I never seen someone dig a bunch of shallow holes expecting to strike oil." Right. So that's the main. That's actually what I call martial laws on my YouTube channel. Martial law number one is focus. It's not stop doing the most. So when it comes to me using why I only use Wix, it's because if I only use this platform, then I will become a lot more proficient a lot faster than someone who's using Wix, who's using WordPress, who's using Squarespace, who's using Weebly, right? They're, giving 20% effort here and there. If I use the same platform day in, day out, I can be a lot more proficient a lot more quickly. And Brad, you know this, I still just use editor. I still just use the regular editor. You know what I'm saying? I don't even use Editor X. And why am I potentially earning more than a lot of designers who use Wix or whatever platform? Because I'm focused. I truly believe that plays a large part. Am I the most talented? Definitely not. But I'm focused. I know the ins and outs of the platform that I use to solve the problems that my clients have, and I know my clients well. I'm not serving a bunch of different clients, just like you said, serving the same type of client over and over. You begin to anticipate their needs and know what they need before they even tell you. So I look like a rock star. Why? Because I've served this type of client before. I know what you need. I know at the end of the project, I'm gonna need to meet with a member of your team to do a Zoom tutorial to show them how to make updates. And if not, then I know what other maintenance options to provide to you. Giving your team structure. Like I can anticipate that. And like, oh, I didn't think about that. Thank you so much. I know that you're a busy person. I know you don't have time to micromanage, which is a good thing for me, or be really hands-on with the project. I know where you need me to step up. So it's, it all comes down to being focused and serving the same type of client. I like to think that I play a small part in the success of their business. I take on that responsibility for all the visuals. And I feel like, okay, if I brand this, let's say I do this book cover, you have a program coming out, a retreat. If I don't brand it the right way, then I like to think that you ain't gonna make no sales. That may not be the case, but I operate like that. So I put that on my back. So if my clients elevate and I don't elevate my value and I don't elevate my prices, they're going to find somebody who can solve their problems at a higher level. They're going to leave me behind. So I'd rather leave them behind before they leave me behind. I know that's not nice to say, but you're not leaving me behind. I did feel like I was leaving clients behind who couldn't afford me. And I was really conflicted with that, Brad. Like, okay, what do? I don't want to abandon the clients that got me here. But I realized that a lot of them, they continue to work with me. And they even said, hey man, look, you were undercharging anyway. I'm glad to pay your new rate. I started to build a community of designers that I could plug them in with. So I realized there's levels of designers, whether I'm not just saying skill level, I'm just saying they may be a confidence thing. They may be more talented than me, but they're not ready to increase their prices due to their confidence. So it's like, I can plug them in with them. It was, you know what? I have somebody who's perfect for you. And I had so many success stories of people saying, hey, so-and-so who you plug me in with, I feel like they're my person. They get me. It's been amazing. I want to thank you. And of course the designers are grateful, right? So it's like there are designers like, so now that I'm at a different level, and I know there are people levels higher than me, but now that I'm at a different level, somebody comes to me, they're not a good fit due to budgetary reasons, scheduling or whatever, I can plug them in with somebody else. And I feel great about that. I like doing that more so than I do accepting the clients, the projects on my own. And another thing I'll say, you mentioned people who say, hey, I want to, be able to express, do my art and be creative. But this is the thing, and I learned this from Douglas Davis. He has the book called Creative Strategy in the Business of Design. He says, art is creative expression. Design is art for commercial purpose. So I'm very clear on that. Like, I'm not an artist. I'm a designer. I have a specific commercial purpose. I'm not doing this because, I'm just so passionate about art and design. I love all the colors. Like, no, one, I'm trying to feed my family. And two, what are the goals that you're trying to achieve with your project from a design standpoint? I'm going to use my brain and my God-given gift to make that happen. My tastes out the window, my own preferences out the window. I have some very specific guidelines that I follow as it relates to design. You know, when I work on the branding, I want to make sure it's simple, it's memorable, it's timeless, it's versatile, appropriate. Those are the 5 criteria, of course, unique. So it's like a bonus 6th one. So I follow that first, and that really serves as the foundation for the design language. And this is after, if let's say we do some type of strategy session and things like that, just to make sure that, you know, we're identifying and prioritizing their target markets.
I asked you to be on the show, and I basically got a free masterclass.
Oh, wow. That means a lot,
It's
man.
great,
Look,
man.
I was
Like-
working at Target when you started teaching, so.
This is, you know what? This is like, it's so cool how this all works and how you get to cross paths with people. And some people start at different times, and man, it's just like, I think this is so neat, and I'm like inspired by what you're doing. And it's like, it's very clear that what you're doing is working. And so what I want to do here is kind of to wrap this up here. I want to try something in this exact second, I'm going to call 3, 2, 1. And so basically 3 quick tips that you'd give those early stage designers and web designers to accelerate forward. And I'm not saying like give them these huge golden secrets that are going to like transform everything, because we both know it's all about putting in time, hustling, but then also making the right choices. So 3 quick tips, could be anything, for those new designers who need to break through.
Yeah.
2 books that you'd recommend, and 1 place for people to follow you or to connect with you or who need your help. So if you could do that, that would be so cool.
Yeah. Tip number 1 would definitely be to focus. Don't try to be a designer, a marketer, a photographer, and a video editor and all of the above, because you will stretch yourself thin, you know, and that leads to burnout. Also focusing on who you serve. You know, you may have to serve about 50 to 100 clients before you figure out who it is that you really enjoy working with the most, who really values what you do, and then who has the means to pay you what you're worth. So you do have to get your reps in first, but make sure you make a plan to start niching down and focusing, because the fact of the matter is, you know, you see what's going on in the world, right? We're headed into a recession, and the only designers and web designers who are going to make it through and aren't stuck at the bottom competing on price are those who separate themselves and niche down. Because the thing is, there are negative aspects to economic downturns, right? But there are also positive aspects. I know more millionaires were created during the pandemic than ever before. And even my personal business doubled, but I saw people online complaining that their business dried up. Why is that? Because I was prepared. You know, I started to add more value. I started to separate myself from most designers or average designers. So you don't want to get stuck at the bottom, doing everything for everybody, just competing on price. You don't want to do that. You can create your own market. So I would say focus in. I know that's probably a couple nuggets in one, but let me think about.
Oh, good. I'll take it.
Another tip would be to be intentional about how you show up online. So when it comes to social media, right? Make sure you're not posting certain things. Make sure that you're posting to appeal to a potential client, because in my experience, high paying clients, they do their research. They will comb through your social media, right, to see what you're talking about and how you present yourself. And even when you hop on Zoom meetings, something as simple as, you know, upgrading your lighting or your camera, your microphone, just to show up like a professional. Not saying you have to do all this. I know this is overkill, but it goes a long way. And it's an icebreaker as well when you can show up and you know, says, hey, I do this full time. I take it serious. And not that, I just plop down on my break, you know, from Starbucks to meet with you. You know, so be intentional about how you show up, because it's an icebreaker and it gives you instant credibility as well. Tip 3, listen to your wife. That's tips 1 through 3.
And 2 books.
Yep. You know what? I'm gonna do you one better. I'm gonna give you 5, okay? And these are my top 5. I'm actually gonna do a video on the 5, so you're getting a bit of a preview. But these are my top 5 books for graphic designers. 1 is Burn Your Portfolio. Stuff they don't teach in design school but should, by Michael Janda. Love Michael Janda. He's a beast. But that book, that's the number 1 book that helped me as a graphic designer with my mindset. And it helped me realize that all the crap I'm dealing with right now, other people have dealt with it, and it's normal. You know, it is absolutely normal to be burnt out, to not know what the heck I'm doing. Should I get a team? You know, a lot of stuff. So Burn Your Portfolio, stuff they don't teach in design school, but should, by Michael Janda. 2 would be Creative Strategy and the Business of Design by Douglas Davis. That's a great book to teach you the business side of things, not just the creative side of things. So it's right brain and left brain. So it makes you that much more of an asset when you can approach every design project from a business standpoint as well. Not just, hey, I'm gonna make it look good, but what are the business goals and objectives? Who else? What other stakeholders are a part of this project that I need to be looped in with? What part of the project do I need to be involved in? Like, I should be involved from the beginning stages, not at the end when it comes to putting this thing online or launching this thing. So it just helps you to think more holistically about the entire project. It makes you that much more valuable as a creative as well. 3 would be Pocket Full of Dough by Chris Do. It's a bunch of short insight, short stories, almost like a book of tweets, but it's every page is golden nuggets. It's like a quick read. And I think it's on Amazon. I think Chris Do, he runs them in like limited releases, but it's a great book to pick up and just read through and get a lot of cool quick nuggets. 4 would be Oversubscribed by Daniel Priestley. I love that book. It shows you how to create your own market. I know I talked a lot about that. But if you do want to run a lean team and pretty much be a team of one or one man band, it's okay. You can be premium. It kind of gives you permission to have people lining up to do business with you and being okay with that. But on the flip side, it's like, okay, how do you do that? What do you need to do to show up that way? How do you create that demand and create that buzz and excitement around you and your business? And 5 is Win Without Pitching by Blair Enns. This is just a great book. I guess it's similar to Oversubscribe, but if Chris Do is the GOAT in my eyes, Blair Enns is the GOAT's GOAT. So he's almost like the guru. He's like the guru's guru. So he just has so much knowledge as it relates to positioning and being a more premium service provider and just adding value and not having to pitch not having to pitch. So those are my top 5.
That's amazing. Those are good book recommendations. I'm going to drop all those links down in the description, in the show notes and everywhere, because I definitely agree. Those are must reads. And
I know you asked me for the one, which is where to find me. So you can reach me at marshallfox.com. Just my first name, last name, marshallfox.com. It's my new website that I set up for this whole, coaching, training, and content creation. So that's my hub. You can get more information about me there. If you want coaching, you can reach me there. And I do have a 6-figure niching workbook. It's really comprehensive. It's probably too much to be free, too much in it to be free, but it's available. It's marshallfox.com/niche or niche. You can reach that there. It's completely free. And I'll send, if you join my email list, I'll be sending you emails weekly. I just sent one out today. That was pretty dope. Just a preview on that if I can. It's just,
yeah, man, go for it.
Yeah. So the email I sent out today was about that there are more people, at least in my experience, or the types of client that I serve, there are more people becoming high level, high paying clients than there are designers becoming high level designers. So it's like there's a huge need for high level, high value designers. It's like a gulf being created where it's like, okay, they're leveling up, they're becoming new millionaires, they have larger design problems. Let's say they have conference they need signage for. Just it's a lot. The programs coming out left and right. They need high level branding, high level websites, beautiful websites, but they're stuck with the designers who got them there, which is on Fiverr, friends and family, or the designers who aren't leveling up. So they're going to end up working with an agency or working with those same lower level designers. But there's still a huge need for designers, higher level designers who can command 10, 20, 30K easily from these new clients. So there's a huge need. It's like an emergency right now. Wow. It's a huge need for higher level designers. So yeah, that's just a little preview of what I sent out today.
That's amazing, man. And that's good news. I like to say to add to that is there's more than enough room at the table.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if the table's crowded, just make your own table.
Yep.
And so that's like, we've talked a lot about that. You're allowed to give yourself permission and to step up and to say, I've been in this small pool for long enough. Like, it's time for me to level up. Yep. I can command that. And you just validated it. There's new businesses that have grown. There's businesses that have exploded throughout the pandemic in the last few years. in a good way. And with the leverage people have with the internet, coaching businesses, authors, creators, software businesses, indie makers, as these people grow and they become more successful, it basically creates big, expensive design problems.
Exactly.
Because that's not their thing. Even if they are a designer, I'm sure Chris Do, though he is good at at design and he knows all of it, he's not in there solving his own design problems. He just knows who is the best to help him solve these massive design problems that he has when he does videos and talks and conferences and books and all of this stuff. So those people are there, and those 20, 30, 50K design projects, web design, branding, consulting, those projects are there, and you just said it, and I could back you up on that. So anyone who's listening is worried that you're going to be stuck charging $500 and $1,000 for overworking yourself forever. You don't have to be there. You could level up. You just got to give yourself permission and use those tips that you learned throughout this whole discussion.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'll say this as well. You're needed. It's fundamental. Don't look at yourself as someone who's just passing through or dipping your toe in the water or testing things out. Like, we need you. Like, you're needed. You belong here. You're essential. It's fundamental, and we need you now. So own it. And come help these clients, make impact. That's how I like to look at it. So we need you. Come on now.
Come on now. Come on. Get in on the party. This is this is awesome. Marshall, I really appreciate your time. I could hang out and chat with you about this stuff for like 5 times as long. So we may have to do a sequel to this because I also imagine that once this hits the show and the community and I start sharing this stuff, people are going to be like, I need more Marshall. Bring him back. Wow. So we will be doing that, and we'll make sure our schedules can arrange and align as well for that. So Marshall, I appreciate it.
I appreciate
and we'll be chatting with you again soon.
Sounds great, Brad. Thank you so much. And I hope, folks got value from this today. Thanks again.
Wow. That was amazing. Just got to say once again, thanks to Marshall for being on the show. That was incredible. Make sure to check out his work. All the links are in the description below. All the recommendations, the tips, the books, his website, his guides. Check it all out in the description. If you like this video, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. Also, check out Marshall's channel here. That should be linked up on the screen. And until next time, folks, I'll see you in another video.